Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you the different types of data in Python and how to use them. Let's dive in. What are the different types of data in Python? There are three types of data: integers, floats, and strings. A string in Python is written as str with a word inside the parentheses, and it creates a new string or a word from a number or any other type. So that means it's basically like the print function. It turns something into a word. The next type of data is an integer, and it is written as int with a number inside the parentheses, and it creates a new integer or a whole number from a string or a float. That means it changes a decimal number into a whole number. The last type of data in Python is a float, and it does not have an abbreviation. It is written as float with a number inside the parentheses. It is basically the opposite of an integer, and it creates a float or a decimal number from a string or integer. So it changes a whole number to a decimal number. Now I'm going to show you how to use these types of data in Python. The first step is to open up your web browser and go to YouTube. And once it loads, type in The Ingenious Engineer and click the first one. And then click subscribe. And make sure you hit the notification bell. It's that simple. Now, I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribed. It would help me out and I could make more content. Now, let's go to Python and actually get started. First, we're going to change an integer to a float. So to do that, you create a variable. I'm using a, and I'm going to assign the number 12 to a. If you don't know what variables are, I'll put a link down in the description box below to my previous video on memory and variables. Now, once we've done that, we have to make another variable called b and tell it that it's a float. And to do that, you just write float and put a in here. Now it knows that a is 12, and so it's like you're putting 12 in here. And then you want it to print b. And you click run, and here, as you see, it says 12.0. That means it's changed it to a decimal. If you had printed a, it would have just said 12. Now we're going to convert a decimal number into an integer. We're not actually going to write a decimal number, we're writing 12.0, but even though we know that this is a whole number, it's an integer, Python recognizes it as a decimal number because it has the decimal. So then we make b, and we write int instead of float because it's we're converting a float into an integer. And we write a, and in the next line we print b and run that, and as you see here it says 12. Now if we had printed a, it would have printed 12.0 because that's what it says here. So as you can see, it has converted a decimal number into an integer. Let's try another one. This time we're actually going to use a decimal number. How about we do 12.99, and here we're converting it to an integer and printing b, and click run, and it is 12. Now if we had actually rounded, it would have become 13 because we know it's closer to 13. But what Python does is it technically just chops off the decimal number and just uses the whole number. Now we're going to convert a string into a float. So to do that, first we make a string. To make a string, you have to put it in quotation marks, and that's how Python recognizes it as a string. So let's try 76.3. And then we convert this. We do b, and we write float and a. So now it's going to convert this into a float. And when we print, let's print both a and B. And so when we run, you see here, they both say 76.3. This is A, and this here is B. Even though it doesn't look like it, they are actually different. Because, watch this. We can use this other function called type. So when we have to put it in the print function. So we put print parentheses type and then again parentheses. And inside there we put A. And when you run here, this is A and it says it's a string here. And we'll do the same thing for B. And when you run, you see here it has changed it to a float. Here it says A is a string and B is a float. So that's proof that it has changed a string into a float. Now what if we try to print a word as a float? The word could be Fred. And we print A. Now it doesn't know what Fred is. It's trying to change a string, a word, into a decimal number, which we both know is not possible. And so it'll just give you an error saying could not convert string to a float. Now we can also do other things like this. We can put a float in a large group of numbers. So we can write 5 plus 3 plus 4 plus 9 plus 6 and then print A. And it'll calculate 27, change it to a float. So it'll add the decimal. You can also change one of these to a decimal, 6.8, and run it. Here it'll write 27.8. Now if we try to do this as an integer and run, it's going to write 27 because, as we know, it will round down every time. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos. If I get 15 subscriptions, then I will make a video on how to make a game on Python. It's a really fun game. So please subscribe and like. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.